Hey there, brother. I'm Stuart Matola, men's relationship coach, and I'm going to talk to you in this video about a question that a lot of men I speak with are asking themselves, and it's one that a client of mine was asking himself, and it's simply, how can I make her happy? So if that's a question that you're asking yourself in your relationship, hang out because I'm going to give you a tool to answer that question and to get to the deeper question underneath that. And so straight up, if you dig this video, please give me a thumbs up or leave a comment below or subscribe to my channel to the lower right. So this client who I was working with, and I'm going to call him Rick for confidentiality reasons, on the surface, he seemed like the kind of guy who would not be in this situation because he was a successful entrepreneur. He kicked ass at work, a lot of confidence, good looking guy. But at home, he felt like a mouse. And so we started talking, and it became very clear that he was asking himself this question: how can I make her happy? And consistently, because it felt like he was trying to show up differently. He was doing work on himself. A lot of guys I work with have done a lot of therapy, but they still struggle to actually manifest that into action to change their relationship. And that was true for Rick. And so at home, he felt like he just couldn't do anything right, and he was starting to give up. And he had hit what I call that threshold, that saturation point, where he's like, I'm fucking done. I got to find a new way to approach this. And so he was ready to step, 2 feet in and really challenge himself and to ask another question. Well, what we realized, and I want you to ask yourself this question: what are you really asking yourself when you're asking, how can I make her happy? What's underneath that? Is there something underneath that? Or what are you trying to get by making her happy? Well, for Rick, it was really clear. He said, well, if I can make her happy, then I can be happy. So notice kind of the twisted logic in that, a little bit deceptive. So he was basically saying, well, if I do A, then I can get B. So A was making her happy, so B, I could get happy. So I said to Rick, well, what if you just go straight after B? Just ask the question, how can I make me happy? How can I be happy in this relationship? So for a moment, he was just like, wait a minute, well, what about her? And I said, man, this has nothing to do with like not being loving. Of course you still want to be loving and considerate to her, but what you've done is, and I invite you to ask yourself if this is true for you, is you've abdicated from what you actually want, your wants and needs, and you've done a circuitous, like kind of a backdoor route to try to get to your own happiness. So I started asking Rick, what are your wants and needs in this relationship that are not being met? And at first he had resistance to going there. And what's between a man asking himself, how do I make her happy, into how can I be happy in this relationship, is simply this: your self-worth. You got to feel worthy to answer that question. What do I need to be happy in my relationship? You need to feel like you're worthy of that. You're worthy of wants and needs. Are you worthy? And I asked Rick that, and he paused for a moment. He really didn't know if that was the case. And I want to be clear, as I worked with Rick, it was a few months of really building up that self-worth so he could begin to own his wants and needs. And as he did, this big light bulb went off where he was like, holy crap. As I start to own my wants and needs, he said, I'm actually becoming more empathic to my wife's wants and needs. And so you may have heard, how can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? So I gave you a little bit of the process with Rick. Now the outcome was he was showing up totally different with his wife. He wasn't like, being this mouse anymore. He was being assertive. He was learning to self-advocate. One of the biggest things that he was advocating for was to have a more proactive role with his kids, because he had felt like prior to that, anytime he was trying to give his input and contribution with the kids, she just slapped it down. So trying to make her happy, he just yielded to that. But as he owned his wants and needs, he realized, no, that was not okay. That was not working for him. So what he started getting was trust and respect from his wife, where that was not the case before. Huge game changer for him. This created a more trustworthy relationship with his wife, because suddenly she saw he wasn't trying to do A to get B. He wasn't being deceptive. He was being very direct and honest and empathic with her in a way that he hadn't been before. And that was precisely because he was starting to ask the question that he really wanted to ask, which was, how can I be happy in this relationship? And the paradox was that made him more capable of actually meeting his partner's needs as well. So his takeaway was, get really clear on the question he's asking himself, because that would change the entire orientation from which he approached his relationship. So I want to invite you to do the same. Change the orientation, change the question, because underneath that question of how can I make her happy is really the question of how can I be happy? So one of the ways Rick got results was he stayed consistent with the work. He said yes, he was done with the old way, and he wanted to show up fully in to go after a new way of being with his wife. If you're ready to step in to change how you're interacting with your partner, send me an email. I'm going to leave a link below. And if you're not ready to talk, join my free and confidential men's relationship tools calls, 9 a.m. Mountain Time on Tuesdays. I'm going to leave a link to that as well. So if you dug this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment below, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a kick-ass day. Bye.